You pull up to the gas station air pump, the low tire light glaring on your dashboard. You drag the grimy hose over to your wheel, punch 32 into the digital gauge, and wait for the beep. It is what your dad taught you. It is what the quick lube shop defaults to, and it is secretly tearing your car apart from the ground up. Relying on a generic 32 pounds per square inch is costing you hundreds at the pump, eating away at your tread twice as fast as normal, and quietly hammering your suspension components into early retirement. The good news is that stopping this damage does not require a mechanic, and the fix takes exactly $0 and 2 minutes. By adjusting how you calibrate your tires, you will immediately restore your gas mileage, smooth out your ride, and make your expensive rubber last years longer. Stick around because the #1 tip on this list exposes the exact location of the hidden engineering numbers you actually need to use, and why ignoring them is the fastest way to ruin your car. Tip number 7. You walk out to your car and notice the outer edges of your front tires look completely bald, while the middle tread still looks brand new. This happens because 32 PSI is often drastically too low for modern vehicles like heavy SUVs or packed sedans, causing the center of the tire to physically cave inward under the weight. Instead of the rubber sitting perfectly flat on the asphalt, the heavy load forces the weak outer edges to drag, scrub, and melt against the pavement, severely reducing your grip in wet weather. Grab a cheap digital tire pressure gauge and check your tires first thing in the morning, since checking them after driving gives you a falsely high reading from road heat. Add enough air to push the center of the tire back down into contact with the road, which immediately stops the rapid edge wear and tightens up your sloppy steering. Even if you think you do not have time to check them manually, a 5-minute routine once a month prevents a $1,000 tire replacement. Fixing this flat footprint is critical, but what happens when that pressure goes in the opposite direction is even worse for your wallet. Tip number 6. Every time you hit a small pothole or highway expansion joint, it feels like the dashboard is going to rattle right out of the car. This bone-jarring ride happens when well-meaning drivers pump their tires up well past the generic 32 PSI, thinking more air automatically equals better gas mileage, ignoring that overinflated tires balloon out in the center like a tightly wound basketball. Because the overinflated center tread takes the entire weight of the vehicle, your tire loses its ability to flex and give, stripping away your car's primary shock absorber and sending every violent road impact directly into your fragile suspension bushings and expensive wheel bearing. To stop this self-inflicted damage, grab your gauge and use the small pressure relief button to bleed out short bursts of air until you drop down to the exact cold pressure specification designed for your chassis. You might worry that letting air out will make your car feel sluggish, but the reality is that the proper pressure restores the exact handling dynamics your car was built to deliver. As soon as you correct the pressure, your ride will immediately soften, and you will physically feel the tires absorbing the road rather than fighting it. Eliminating this harsh impact saves your chassis from premature failure, but it still does not solve the hidden thermal threat building silently inside your rubber. If you are liking these tips, subscribe to the channel. Tip number 5. You are driving down the interstate on a hot afternoon, and out of nowhere, you hear a terrifying pop, followed by the violent thud of a blown-out tire. This catastrophic failure is rarely caused by a rogue nail, but rather by running a heavy vehicle at a generic 32 PSI, which allows the sidewalls of the underinflated tire to continuously bend and fold at highway speeds. This excessive flexing generates immense internal friction, baking the rubber from the inside out until the structural cords literally melt, weaken, and snap under the intense thermal strain. To prevent this internal breakdown, always check and adjust your tires when they are completely cold, meaning the car has been parked for at least 3 hours. Ensuring you get a true baseline reading before driving, friction artificially spikes the numbers. You might think reading a gauge is too complicated, but any basic pencil gauge from an auto parts store is incredibly accurate and takes seconds to use. Keeping the sidewalls properly supported drastically lowers the operating temperature of the tire and entirely eliminates the risk of a heat-induced blowout. Stopping this invisible structural damage keeps you safely on the highway, but the next pressure mistake is quietly draining your wallet every time you hit the gas pedal. Tip number 4. You fill up your gas tank, check your mileage, and realize you are getting significantly fewer miles per gallon than the window sticker promised when you bought the car. This silent financial drain happens because running a modern vehicle at a default 32 PSI often leaves the tires slightly soft, creating a massive increase in rolling resistance. Instead of gliding effortlessly over the pavement, the sagging rubber forces your engine to work exponentially harder just to maintain highway speeds, burning excess fuel simply to overcome the constant drag of the flattened tire footprint. To plug this obvious leak in your fuel budget, inflate your tires to the higher pressure designed to properly support your car's exact curb weight and aerodynamics. Do not let the fear of a slightly stiffer ride stop you from adding those extra few pounds of air. Modern suspensions are tuned to absorb bumps perfectly when the tire is inflated to its intended firmness. Once you hit the correct engineering target, your engine stops fighting the pavement, and you will see your miles per gallon immediately rebound on your dashboard. Recovering your fuel economy is a huge daily win, but failing to adjust these numbers for what you actually carry inside the vehicle is the next mistake, quietly wrecking your handling. Tip number 3. You pack the trunk to the brim for a weekend family road trip. Hit the highway, and suddenly your car feels like it is swaying dangerously every time you change lane. This terrifying instability happens because sticking to a default 32 PSI completely ignores the massive shift in weight distribution when you load up passengers and luggage. That generic pressure might be fine for your solo daily commute, but adding hundreds of pounds to the rear axle crushes the tires, drastically altering your vehicle's center of gravity and making the steering dangerously unresponsive. Before you back out of the driveway fully loaded, check your manual for the specific maximum payload pressure rating, which often requires adding several extra pounds of air to the rear wheels to compensate for the extreme weight. You might think pumping tires takes too much time when you are rushing to leave, but spending 60 seconds with a portable compressor guarantees your car handles as predictably as it does when completely empty. Properly inflating for the extra cargo immediately stiffens the sidewalls, instantly restoring your crisp steering and eliminating that terrifying high-speed sway. Stabilizing your vehicle for heavy loads keeps your road trip safe, but the weather outside is quietly manipulating your pressure even when the car is securely parked. Tip number 2. You wake up on the first chilly morning of autumn. Start your car and immediately see the dreaded low tire pressure warning light glowing on your dash. This sudden drop is not a puncture. It happens because air dynamically expands and contracts with the ambient weather, meaning that perfect 32 psi you set during a scorching summer afternoon has physically condensed inside the tire overnight. As a general rule, your tires lose 1 to 2 pounds of pressure for every 10-degree drop in temperature, transforming a perfectly inflated tire into an underinflated hazard simply because the seasons changed while you were sleeping. To stay ahead of the weather, make a habit of verifying your cold tire pressure at the start of every major seasonal shift, or whenever a massive cold front rolls through your area. You might think waiting for the dashboard light to alert you is safe enough, but those electronic sensors only trigger when the tire is already dangerously low, often 25% below the safe structural threshold. By proactively adding a few pounds of air as the mercury drops, you completely bypass the risk of sluggish handling and unseen sidewall damage before you even put the car in drive. Securing your tires against the weather keeps you rolling smoothly, but all of this effort is useless if you do not know the single most important location to find your car's true engineering numbers. Tip number 1. You finally decide to check your tires properly, but when you look closely at the side of the rubber, you see a confusing string of numbers and a maximum pressure rating that makes the old 32 psi rule seem like the safest guess. This dangerous confusion happens because the pressure stamped on the tire itself is only the absolute structural maximum for the rubber, not the calibrated recommendation for your specific vehicle. Automakers know this is confusing, so they calculated the exact cold tire pressure specification based on your car's unique suspension geometry, weight distribution, and braking dynamics, and placed the real numbers completely out of plain sight. Open your driver's side door and look for a small, usually black and yellow sticker firmly attached to the metal door frame or the inner latch pillar. Read the specific cold inflation pressure listed for both the front and rear tires, and use a reliable digital gauge to match those exact numbers before you drive for the day. You might think decoding automotive labels requires a mechanic's manual, but the sticker is written simply and completely removes all the dangerous guesswork from your maintenance routine. Dialing in this exact engineering target instantly maximizes your daily fuel economy, guarantees perfectly even tread wear, and restores the safe, smooth handling your car was built to deliver. Getting your tire pressure right is never about blindly following an outdated habit. It is about matching your tires to the exact engineering numbers hiding right inside your driver's door. By ditching the generic 32 psi myth and calibrating your rubber to the manufacturer's true cold pressure specifications, you will immediately save money at the gas pump, protect your expensive suspension from violent impacts, and keep your vehicle safely glued to the road in any weather. Go check your door jam sticker right now. Adjust your tire pressure to match those exact numbers. If you like the content, hit that that subscribe button and give this video a like. Comment below with your car's year and model. Watch the recommended video on your screen right now.